Welcome to this low tide yoga practice. This is a movement practice that is really aimed to soothe and cool the system. So at whatever point you are joining this summer, I truly hope that this experience feels like you're in a place of care and cooling. So we'll begin down on our back, so you can select a supine posture that works for you and feel free to start moving into that posture. At this point, you might spread yourself out with your arms and legs extended from your body in a bit of a star shape. You might like to keep the soles of the feet on the ground with the knees bent and pointed upwards. And from that posture with the soles of the feet on the ground and the knees pointed upwards, you could let the knees fall in towards each other so that they touch or move towards touching. And this can be, it's known as constructive rest, and it can open the low back and sacrum quite nicely. So these are a few options, and there are others. So as long as you are comfortable and you feel as if your limbs are supported, then you're in the right place. Today we'll do some gentle movements in this practice. We'll coordinate them with the breath, and the idea overall will to be moving gently, slowly, and with coolness and calmness. In the summer, there's a lot of heat, there's a lot of activity, so this will be a counterbalance. We'll stretch through areas of the body. We will start on our backs, as you know, and move over to our bellies, and then end in a seated posture. We'll spend time with the limbs away from the body, and this can be a nice way to air out the sides of the body and underneath the arms, between the legs, just have a sense of circulation. So we'll begin with a bit of sound. I have a singing bowl that I will ring a few times, and the invitation is to let the sound capture your attention and follow the tone. Notice if you feel a vibration anywhere in your body or a response in your thoughts to the sound. So it's a way of beginning to listen inward and tune your focus to the present moment, the experience that's here right now. And before we begin with the sound, you might take a few deep breaths. Notice if there's any part of your body that might have an obvious or not so obvious tension that you can release. Any micro movements or adjustments you'd like to make to feel even more ease are welcome now or at any point during the practice. Let the residue of this bell stay with you and flow through the space. As the breath continues to flow through the body, you might even bring to mind some images of water, of rippling water or very gentle waves, of any temperature that feels supportive to you, whether it's a cooling sense or warm and soothing. Whatever feels refreshing to you right now, you might imagine that temperature of waves just really gently caressing your body. They're supportive, soothing. And let the breath match the energy of these waves. So if you're imagining really still, slow water, perhaps you're just floating in it, you might invite in very still and slow, expansive breaths. If perhaps the ripples around you are moving with a little bit more swiftness, the breath could match that as well. So take a few moments here, connect with the breath. And if it works for you, this idea of visualizing and imagining waves supporting you. We'll start to invite some movements into the body. We'll begin with gently inviting the knees to come in towards the chest. So you might step the feet in and hug the knees toward you. Take any number of movements you need to get into this place where you're hugging the knees in towards the chest in some way. And you could rock from side to side or in small circles when you arrive here. Let the attention stay on the breath. And let the movements still, again, match what would feel best to you right now. So feel free to continue with these movements with the legs hugged in. If you'd like to bring the hands toward the ankles or feet, and the legs step slightly further apart from each other, come into, in yoga, what's often referred to as a happy baby. And here, micro movements and rocking are so welcome. If you're holding the feet or ankles, you might bend or straighten the knees any amount. And if you still have the legs hugged into the chest, you could play around with the same thing, bending, straightening through one or both legs. Take a couple luxurious and calm breaths as you explore these really simple movements. And as you move through your next exhale, you'll return the feet to the ground. So let the soles of the feet touch the ground, knees point up. And you'll bring your hands out to the side, extend the arms out from the shoulders, palms face down into a T position, or bend the elbows, palms face up in what looks like a goalpost or cactus position with the hands. So here we're creating space on the sides of our bodies. So really anything that has the arms extended out to the side in some way that feels open, and the hands and arms are connected to the ground, so you have a stabilizing and grounding effect. Take a deep breath in through the nose, sigh it out through the mouth. Know that anytime you exhale through an open mouth like this, you're releasing heat. And here, take the knees, bend them in again towards the chest. Insides of the legs can be touching each other, and you'll start to gently rock from side to side. So the knees moving 4 or 5 inches from one side to the next. You might coordinate the breath so that you're breathing in as your knees come through center and breathing out as they fall from one side to the next. Inhale through center, exhale to the side. And each time you move to the side, see what it's like to bring the knees slightly closer to the floor. So we're activating a twist in the low back and movement through the waist. And always notice as you add the movement of the knees closer to the floor, how this is feeling. You can pause at any point. And if it feels good to you, you'll just get an inch closer to the floor each time you go to the side. I want to make sure that the lower spine in particular feels invited into this movement. And if your knees are getting closer to the floor, see if over the next 2 or 3 rounds, you might get them to tap and touch down. And if you'd like to, the next time the knees touch down, allow them to stay on one side and come into a reclining twist. You can certainly continue with the dynamic movement back and forth. And if you are in the twist, the knees and the whole leg will touch down, one leg stacked on top of the other. The low, mid-back are peeled up off the floor, and ideally both shoulders are still connecting with the ground. Take a few cycles of breath here. If you're feeling warm, you might exhale through an open mouth to release some heat. Let the eyes close if that feels supportive to you. And to begin the transition to the next side, take an inhale. And as you exhale, start to bring the knees up and back through center. Inhale when you reach center. And then exhale, the legs will drop to the opposite side. The bottom leg touches down, and then the other leg is stacked on top. Arms remained in this T or goalpost position. Let the body soften. And take a few cycles of breath. Take a deep breath in through the nose. And as you exhale, knees come back through center. And notice here, if you feel inclined to hug the knees in or extend the legs up and wiggle them out a bit, just take a moment to explore whatever movement your body is calling for. And when that feels complete, we will all extend arms and legs up into the air and do a bit of wiggling. This can be vigorous or very gentle, fluid, fast, slow. Let the energy shake out. There's space between both arms, space between the legs. Take an inhale, pause the movement, reach up through fingertips, reach up through toes. Exhale, reach even more. And from here, move into both ankle and wrist circles simultaneously if you can. So arms and legs are extended and circle in the other direction. Reverse direction again. And one more time. Take an inhale, reach fingertips and toes skyward, and exhale, slowly return the limbs back down to the ground. Pause. Notice. Here in this present moment, what is alive for you? From here, gently roll over onto the belly. So from one side or the other, you'll tilt yourself until the belly is on the ground. Quadriceps, fronts of the feet are all on the ground. You might stack your hands, one hand on top of the other, or one forearm on top of the other, to allow the forehead to come down and rest on a small pillow created by your hands or your forearms. Feel the belly, the ribs, the chest on the ground, hands and arms on the ground. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Sigh it out through an open mouth. And again here, we'll take a pause, and you might again visualize those waves of water surrounding and supporting you. The speed of the water, the temperature of the water. That feels like it would be most refreshing in this very moment. Let yourself sink into the ground. Release any areas of holding possible. One more deep breath in through the nose. Sigh it out through an open mouth. From here, take the hands and slide them underneath the shoulders, palms face down, elbows hug in towards the ribs. Spine is long, entire body is long, as if you could reach through the tips of your toes and crown of the head in opposite directions and lengthen out the space between the vertebrae in your spine. The entire front body is on the ground. Forehead can rest down, chin is tucked slightly to support an elongated neck. Squeeze those elbows in. On an inhale, peel the upper body forward, shoulders away from the ears as the head moves forward, lifts. Upper body peels off the floor, elbows continue to squeeze in, coming into a baby cobra, Bhujangasana. And exhale to lower down. Inhale to lift. Lengthen, and exhale, lower and lengthen. Inhale to lift, and exhale to lower. Start to move at your own natural and organic pace here. Can the movements be calm and fluid? Can both the lift and the lower involve lengthening the body? So in a sense, this is a full body stretch in both directions, increasing spaciousness, openness, flow through the entire system. Lift as you inhale, exhale as you lower. And then the next few, you might press into the hands a little bit more, straighten the elbows slightly more, and that means the upper body lifts even more. And you might feel the stretch along the front of the belly, through the chest, and the arch of the spine behind you as the shoulder blades reach in towards the vertebrae. And over the next few cycles, you might even start to lift your hips up slightly and move back into a child's pose. And then you'll come forward again, hips drop, and come all the way down to the ground. And on your inhale, you press in through the hands, squeeze the elbows back, peel the upper body, hips off the ground, and exhale into a child's pose. Inhale as you come forward from the child's pose. And exhale to lower all the way down onto the ground. Inhale, lift the body. Move back, hips go towards heels. Reach through the fingertips, long stretch through side of the body. Inhale to come forward, lift the hips. Exhale, bend the elbows, return to the ground. Take a few more cycles of this dynamic traveling between the floor and child's pose. Along the way, you come through cobra, upward dog, tabletop. Let the breath be smooth and steady as it aligns with fluid and smooth movements. And at some point over the next 2 or 3 cycles, find yourself in a child's pose. So land there when it feels right, and then pause and stay. You can rest the forehead down on the ground when you arrive, or you can again stack the wrists or forearms to create a supportive place for the forehead to rest. It's really nice for the head to be connected to the ground in a child's pose. And as you breathe, feel the belly bubble and fill and press between the thighs. You might also notice from this child's pose that the space between the shoulder blades broadens on the inhale, and perhaps even the low back and sacrum area. So enjoy this new orientation in gravity and this new sensation of how the breath in the body feels. Again, you might imagine the caress of the gentle water lapping around you. Take a deep breath in through the nose, sigh it out through the mouth. And with ease, you will press into the hands, come up into tabletop position and orient yourself so that you can sit in a comfortable way on your mat. I'm going to sit back on my heels and have a little block there to support me. That could be a block, books, folded up blanket, or rolled up towel. And take a moment and notice yourself in this orientation to gravity now in a more upright posture. You might soften the eyes or close them for a moment. And this is just a brief pause to adjust to our new setup. From here, let the hands come down by the sides. This might mean that fingertips can touch the ground depending on which way you've decided to sit. You'll inhale, reach the arms up overhead. And exhale to lower. Inhale, palms flip upward, reach. Fingertips might touch above head. You can follow them with your gaze and exhale, lower. So this breath fans the air in and out of the body and uses the arms to fan the external body. Inhale, fill, nourish, and exhale, soften, release. Take about 2 more cycles at your own pace. And when the hands and arms have reached the side, you'll center your attention and weight in the right hand, so fingertips on the ground as the left hand sweeps up and over to come into a lateral bend. Stretch through the entire side. And then left arm here might begin to circle. So starting with the shoulder joint and moving all the way through the arm to the fingertips. There's a circling motion happening. Gaze could be downward, straight ahead, or even following the hands and fingertips. And then reverse direction. Breath is smooth and steady. After this next circle, let it propel you up, and then the left arm comes down to the ground as the right arm reaches up and over, and you activate the side bend. Stretch from the waist all the way up through the fingertips of the right side of the body. And then begin the shoulder circles. Fan the body with air. Fan the body with this arm movement. And reverse direction. And let the next circle propel you up through center. Both arms reach up. Inhale. Exhale down to the side. You might take the hands, place them palms face up somewhere on the thighs. Or if there's another position where the palms can face up and the hands cannot work, they can rest. Feel free to choose that. And we'll end with a cooling breath. So there are several versions of this breath in the yogic practice. And it involves sucking air in through the mouth in a position that lets the air feel like it's rushing in this cool way, and then to release heat of the body. And so this can serve as a way to cool and circulate the system, really useful to do on hot summer days. So what you'll do is put your face into like one of those fake overly done smiles where you're trying to show all your teeth. And you'll draw the air in through the teeth. So it often makes this rushing sound. You'll take the tip of your tongue and place it on the roof of your mouth as you exhale through the nose. So breathe in through the teeth. Move the tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth and exhale through the nose. So let's try a few rounds together. Let yourself enjoy the cool rush of air. Sometimes the tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth can further enhance the cool feeling. And know that on the exhale, the coolness is circulating through the body as the heat is releasing. So let's try a few rounds of this. Eyes open or closed, spine elongated, and hands resting. Inhale through the teeth. Move the tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth and exhale through the nose. Inhale, draw the air in, full and refreshing. Tip of tongue to the palate. Exhale through the nose. Release, release. Inhale. Place the tongue and exhale. Refresh the elongation of the spine. Inhale. Place the tongue. Exhale. 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 We'll do two more. Inhale through the teeth. Place the tongue on the palate and release the air. Inhale. Place the tongue and gentle exhale. 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 Allow the eyes to close or soften and trust the breath to resume its own natural rhythm. You might again imagine the embrace of the waves or yourself floating or sitting in refreshing water. Allow the body to relax and receive. We'll conclude our practice as we began it with the singing bowl. I invite you to receive these sounds and bask in them for as long as you'd like before you transition into your next activity.